has blown all the way to us. But let me also thank you for accepting to receive us in audience within a very short time. And I think that speaks very eloquently to what you're disposed to do. Before I go on, let me congratulate you because the election where you emerged for your second excellencies, because it is in our practice in CEPLAT to maintain constant and very effective relationship with our stakeholders. And indeed, yourself, Edo State people, and the various communities represent a very significant membership of our stakeholder community. So that's really why we have come. And before I proceed, let me introduce the members of our delegation. To my excellency, we are happy to have you receive us in audience, and indeed, we're also very pleased to meet your Secretary to Government and your other government functionaries. After seeing you, Your Excellency, we'll be going to visit one of our facilities here, the Oben gas plant. I'm sure you're aware, you have seen this gas plant, but this is one of the strong statements we're making in CEPLAT to show that we are identifying with both the government in Edo State and indeed the government and the people of Nigeria. Basically, this is a real statement towards our contribution in solving energy problem in Nigeria. The road is very long. We're happy that we started this project. Indeed, we're one of the first companies, being a Nigerian company, that responded to the government's 2012 gas revolution call. This speaks to gas to power, gas to industry, and gas to agriculture. We listened and answered to this call because we're Nigerians who believe that every narrative about diversification of the Nigerian economy cannot happen if the power infrastructure is not resolved. And on that basis, we have been investing very actively. From Oben, we're happy to say that we can deliver gas to Edo State and power the industries. The very first IPP since after the revolution, the Azura power plant, is indeed being fired from gas from Oben. And from Oben, we can take gas to the northern part of the country in Geregu, to Dangote Cement. And from there, we can also take gas all the way to Lagos. And we have gas, we can also deliver gas in the West African gas pipeline. So it is a very important investment we've made, and we're happy that the Edo State people have worked with us in a very collaborative manner. I must say that they have shown good cooperation, and they're indeed very grateful. I'm not going to take more of your time, but Your Excellency, I'm happy to say that the journey has only just begun. We have very many more areas of collaboration with your state and the people of Edo State, and we can only expect that things will get better from where we are today. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I will now yield the stage to our CEO, who has one or two things to say about our company. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, the Deputy Governor, the Secretary of State, Government, Edo State, the Head of Service, Edo State, the Permanent Secretary, Edo State, other government functionaries and persons present, and obviously the directors and management of CEPLAT. Thank you very much. I know you're very busy, and thank you very much for taking the time to meet with us today. The good thing about congratulations is you can never say it too many times. It's one of those words that are fine. So congratulations on your second term. I'm sure you'll continue the fantastic work. I just want to say a little bit around what we intend to do going forward as a company. We've been in action now for 10 years, and obviously we started in this region as we start to expand as a company. Oben and Orogo are two of the fields in this state, and Oben, of course, is a very good gas play, which our chairman talked about. And gas is, as we all know, is the future fuel for Nigeria. Oil will still be important, but Nigeria is a gas province. okay, they say with pockets of oil, but it's a gas province. Gas is going to be the fuel that will fuel the future of Nigeria, with a young population of average age of 18, 200 million people going to 400 million people. All those new people coming to the planet in Nigeria are going to need fuel, energy, education, health service, and you need a fuel source for that, and gas is going to be that fuel source. So this state is going to be very critical, not just now, but into the future as we look at that. And we talked about the gas plant, which is something we're extremely proud of. That gas plant can be expanded and made bigger, and when the gas supply is in place, we will do that accordingly. The other thing around gas is we can add on other value-enhancing bits of the gas, which is LPG and CNG, and that's something we're looking at. The Oban gas plant is being able to supply liquid petroleum gas. That can have usage in not just transport, but also in cooking as a fuel there, rather than use wood, etc. So there's plenty more we can do in the area. We've put a lot of investment to date, and we will continue to make investment. And I thank you, Governor, and your team here for supporting us through everything in that. And let me just say a couple of other things that we are doing in the region. That we have the I Can See program, which is one of our CSR initiatives, and in our Western assets, which of course Edo State is a big part of, we're heading towards 70,000 people who have had the benefit of that program. And it's an incredible, to bring eyesight to people. Of course, we all take it for granted, but something that we're very proud of. Safe Motherhood, which is our Safe Motherhood program. Again, we're heading towards 25,000 people covered by that. And then I touched on it earlier on, which is obviously the young people. Okay, everyone knows the future is how we look after, we give hope, and very importantly, education to our young people and how we grow them. And the Pearls Quiz is a statewide quiz that we hold every year. It's got more and more competitive every year, and we're blown away by just the quality of the talent of the children that enter into that. So it's now in its 9th session. We had a final yesterday, hotly contested, and there's around 45,000 students have gone through that program. And the last program I want to touch on, which is a new program, which is the Teachers Employment Program, which is it comes under the name of STEAM, which is the Science, Technology, Engineering, Arts, and Mathematics, which is an empowerment program for over 100 teachers, and that really is going to kick off its maiden edition next Monday, and I understand that you will grace us with your presence on that. So we'd like to thank you for your time. I know you're very, very busy. Other things we're doing obviously is roads, Chairman touched on, but the college hospital, schools, etc. But look, we continue to now. We're going to have a good evaluation of what more we can do in the community, particularly around electrification, etc. Whether it be gas electrification, but also potential renewable energy, maybe solar applications, which we think is one area that certainly Nigeria, being blessed with a lot of sun, should actually be looking towards. So that's one area that we will work up and obviously come to talk to you in due course. Obviously, the other thing I want to touch on is our global memorandum of understanding. This is the freedom to operate, the rules of how we will engage with our communities, and that's largely been based around employment and local capacity development, and just really setting out the rules of how we work together. And again, that's something that's dynamic for us. We have to continually evolve and change that, and bring out the local community contractors, people that really allow us to be able to do what we can do. So that's one program that's been in place for quite a number of years, and we will continue to do that. And the last thing I want to touch on is just some of the stuff we've done around COVID-19. This is a horrible pandemic that the world has been hit by, and I mean, touch wood, Nigeria has generally been quite light on it compared to Western Europe, US, etc. But having said all of that, during the COVID-19 pandemic, we've given palliatives, we've given PPE equipment and everything else, and we will continue to do that and really create, because pandemics don't stop, right? We've had a number of pandemics or COVID issues around the world, and therefore it's preparing for potential future ones. So we will continue to do that and give that and work with your government around that. So I'm sure I could talk forever. You know, I always say if you give an Irishman a microphone, it's always a bad idea, because the Irish are renowned for talking. But I'd like to say thank you very much, and for giving your time today. Really appreciate it. You're a very valuable community to us, state to us, and thank you for welcoming our SEPLAT management. Thank you.
My relationship with SEPLAT transcends Edo State. I can say I have personal relationships with over 50% of the board members of SEPLAT. And so I see the company as one of those friendly corporates, and a corporate in which we have friends. So I want to welcome you to Edo State and thank you very much for this visit. It's interesting that it's happening very early in the life of a new administration. Maybe if you had paid this sort of visit 4 years ago, the issues may not have been as clear. The issues in the relationship may not be as clear as they now are to us, and also the promise and the hope which your company holds for our state, Edo State. Let me start first by thanking you, the chairman, the board members, and the company for the relationship that's endured, since you started operating in our state. I also want to thank you for the responses that you have made in helping and assisting in times of challenges, both in the state and within the area you operate in. I want to thank you in particular for your donations and support and assistance during the last, it's not over yet, during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, which hits the country. It's something we'll appreciate for a long time to come. SEPLAT should be a company that's very special to us, and we want you to be. We're blessed in Edo with a few energy companies, because as Bartholomew, you will confirm, since a lot of your assets they are operating today, and a few more assets that he worked and he and his colleagues worked on over the decades. We're blessed with a couple of assets on that flank, on the Orion flank, and on the Ikpobaka axis, and we're mostly gas-rich assets. And in my other life, I recall working closely with you on immediately after the acquisitions and all the things you've done. And we're truly proud of what you have accomplished in the decade or more that you've been in operation. We also count ourselves fortunate that we have you and have the quality of the assets we have in Edo State. I believe that we haven't done as much as we should and could have together. And the promise I made during the electioneering is that we're going to work very closely with corporates like you to take advantage of the very rare asset we have. Yes, there's a lot of gas around the country, but how much of that gas is onshore, like we have in Edo State? And that we find is just potentially transformative for the state and for the country. So what we would like to see after this is one in which we actually sit with you and recraft the MOU, your global MOU, for our mutual benefits. We know there are challenges with the distribution infrastructure for gas across the country. And so we're saying, while we're waiting for all of that infrastructure to be fixed, why can't we now bring businesses and users closer to your network, the core of your network? Where, like you said, yes, the opportunities, large opportunities exist for gas to power, gas to agric, gas to industry. So for us, the plan is to relocate as much of those users closer to your fields or the assets you operate. It will require us ensuring that we create the enabling environment for these things to happen in those areas, which will include the relationships with the communities, security, infrastructure. And those are things we are currently considering and working on right now. We are in the process of concluding, thank you. We are concluding our procurement for for professional services to help in our 30-year development plan, both infrastructure, social, economic plan, so that we have a compass, a master plan that will guide our decisions and our progress in this area, so that it's not just a project that will that is being propagated now, but it will with future administrations will have a compass, a roadmap to go. And so we will really appreciate us, within the next quarter, sitting with you to just have a detailed review and reconstruct of that MOU as it relates to Edo State. I'm happy that the managing director said that quite a bit of flexibility is built already into the global structure you have. And these will include our relationships with the communities, because we don't want to go ahead with the bilateral community agreements. We want them to be, at a minimum, be a tripartite community agreements in which the state or the local governments are part of that agreement. So everybody has responsibilities in ensuring that these agreements are enforced. The agreements will also help provide those linkages and reduce waste in terms of your interventions. Because when you build a school, for instance, and you equip the school, if that school is not connected with what we are doing as a state in education, for instance, you cannot leverage the full benefits of that investment. We also, ditto with the programs in maternal care. It's important that you understand what the state is doing. You understand, the logic of what we're doing, so that your interventions key in and provide a lot more value than they currently are doing. And so we are very bullish on education, particularly tooling and resetting our educational system. I want to thank you for your school quiz and assure you that in the next decade, Edo will win that quiz. And the reason is simple. Yes, we won it last week, but we're not going to give it up again. And the reason is simple. Our children are now learning, because we have retooled our basic education system in Edo State. The teacher employment program is something we would like to work with you, because as a state, I believe without being immodest, we have experimented the most in terms of teacher reform. And I was reading a quote yesterday that, if you want to fix your educational system, the trick is with the teachers. And so this morning, I just reviewed, progress we have made we have a teacher fellowship program, a 3-year teacher fellowship program we've introduced in Edo State. Applications opened a couple of weeks ago. As at this morning, we had 38,000 applicants. And we're going to be going through the test, and we just need 3,000 of them. And that program helps us develop, another category of teachers, professional teachers who will now absorb into our civil service in 3 years' time when we've completed their training. We have made substantial investments in our training, in teacher training facilities. We restructured the Edo College of Education with 3 campuses. The one in Abudu, which is in Oriomo, is focusing on early childhood and basic education. I mean, it's going to be, like we say, we don't like to talk about ourselves. You go and see what we're doing there. The one in Igwebe is focused on training teachers that will, be responsible for secondary, technical, and vocational, training vocational teachers. And the one in Afuze will be training teachers in special education and physical education. We also have, the federal government has approved the setting up of a federal college of education to train teachers in technical subjects. Because as part of our reform in our educational system, we are beginning to steer kids, just like we're doing with STEAM, that after the first 6 years, the next 3 must have vocational and technical components, so that the subsequent 3 and 3 will be such that the kids can begin to work or have apprenticeship trainings, to get into whatever industry they want to. So education is very, very, very key, and we're spending quite a lot of our resources in that. But for the investments that were made in times past, we wouldn't have produced the Basilomi or the Fuego Moigui. And so being in Seplat, I believe they know that we have to take a bit from Seplat and plug back into the system so that we can produce more of them in the future. In terms of infrastructure, what we are planning to do is, the area you operate is perhaps one of the richest areas of our state. That local government, Oriomo, represents almost maybe up to 1/6 of the landmass of our state. It's been heavily deforested, so we have a responsibility to restore some of the ecology there. We have currently just given out about 60,000 very badly degraded land for the purpose of oil palm to about 4 corporates. And they have responsibility also to help cultivate or regrow the forest. For every 4 hectares of oil palm land they're cultivating, they have responsibility to grow 1 hectare of forest land. So we will be looking at you, if it's possible, to help look at preserve the environment in the areas you operate in. We have embarked on a very ambitious project. We had signed an agreement with the NDDC, Esopadec, to jointly construct the Benin-Abraka Road, which is the main trunk that leads to you. Unfortunately, NDDC, as usual, hasn't come through. And just for your information, we have said we're going to court against NDDC, and they will not be allowed to operate in Edo State, except subject to us approving every project. So all NDDC contractors in Edo State are, stopped herewith from undertaking any activities in Edo State. First, subject to the clearance by State Executive Council of every project in Edo, since they cannot come and dictate to us what they want to do here. It's our money, and so we will determine. We are the ones to tell them what we want, not they come to tell us what they want to do. So please, Minister, all NDDC contractors in Edo State have stopped forthwith from undertaking any contracts, any work in our state, so that we can go back. And focus on our priorities. But we want to build that road. We're re-awarding the contract. It's been in Abraka, and the spur that goes into your operations, Ugo, the Gwelaba stretch. You recall their predecessor company, Shell, had assisted in building that road many years ago. I know you've been doing some rehabilitative work, but we would like to go into an understanding with you and so co-finance, if you don't want to wholly finance that stretch. But I think it's important for you and important for us, so that we can have access to the communities in that. We're also working on a proposal with NERC, because it's so disheartening. When I went campaigning in Oriomo, I was very, very despondent, because if you look at all the electricity assets, the transformers, the strings, they are all overgrown with weeds, and we cannot justify what's been flared, the gas being flared, the gas being processed, and in that local government, not reaching the people in that local government. I just think it's just not right. It's not correct. We will provide the regulatory cover. We will appeal to you to consider working with us to provide electricity in those communities, because I believe that's within our reach. And like I said, I'm sure when we sit within this global MOU, we'll be able to knock out, in detail, but I believe we can work something out that's a win-win, so that you can be the template for all the energy companies that operate in communities. What we have going with you is that you are a Nigerian company like us. So if you can't, working with you, we can't do it, then it's going to be tough for us as a country. There's no justification to treat you like you are a foreign company that's exploring and exploiting our assets and taking out there. No. We now must demonstrate to our people that, look, you have a Nigerian spirit, which will help utilize the assets here for the development of our people, individuals, communities, and the state. And just be rest assured, by the grace of God, as long as I'm on this seat, I'm going to make sure that we create a new paradigm for us. Thank you. I think it's done, so we'll take photographs downstairs. We'll take our photographs downstairs.
Give a round of applause. Always come from Seplat. If you have any more presentations to make.
Your Excellency, I thought I should deliver your congratulatory letter myself on behalf of my colleagues in Seplat. Thank you very much. I'm playing the branded gift from Seplat. Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
For transparency, I won't put it beyond that.
Thank you very much. We can't speak after His Excellency has spoken, but all the messages are very well received.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the immense appreciation, gratitude for the letter, and it's traditional, even though you are a home company, we still need to say welcome and thank you for coming. So on behalf of the government of the state, I have the privilege to present this token plaque to commemorate this very important visit you made.
Thank you, Excellency.
Hey there. Subscribe to my channel. And also press this bell icon.